Oh boy, another disclaimer, doesn't Slayer just love that shit? But I do want to make clear that this video was originally going to be a trial between two other commentators by the name of Jonah Smith and V Omega. However, due to the complicated things the video went through and Jonah and V eventually losing interest in the project, this has now become a solo video. I just wanted to give them credit for this video's creation before we started. Also, no, this isn't my last video on Blaze as I still have a co-op with Cosmo Stardust in the works that I want to release. Anyways, let's begin. You know, I have an idea. Let's revive a dead chain. Fucking yay.
Dude, you revived ImageGate. I think reviving that shit is the least of your concerns.
Correction, me and Duel stopped ImageGate before it began. Get it right, you pleb. Anyways, context. Duel Tones still lists the top 10 bullshit levels in video games. That 7th Blade Dragon didn't. Also, lackluster commentary on that. Jonah Smith made a comment on that. And here we have Blaze movie fan at the end of this chain, which I'll be covering. So without further ado, let's begin.
Even if I'm absolute garbage on it, stealth in video games is one of my favorite things to do. I like being able to just walk around being undetected by guards and shit. Games like Payday allow me to do just that alongside with friends in a team setting. Payday is fun, just to put that out there. That is until you're forced into a situation where you have to put on the heaviest armor, grab the most lethal weapons you got, and go loud.
Hey, what about dodging grinder builds?
Okay, I know it's weird for me to start off a video hitting one of the previous degrees in the chain, but allow me to hit Dragon's point right here, as I want to point out problems with his actual argument. 1. You don't explain what these builds are, and even if you did, you don't explain how to acquire them. Like, not everyone is going to know what these dodge and grinder builds are, especially for those who haven't played Payday 2. Some insight onto what these builds are would be nice. And 2, you give jack and shit as to how these builds will actually help Duel's current situation.
For those who don't quite understand what loud means, that's being World of Warcraft meme from 2005. Now give yourself a gun and some armor, blaster, and a target on your forehead. Whenever you are forced into a position to avoid the police and SWAT teams coming around to help you, it's a bad time for dual tones. Because the SWAT makes everything harder than it needs to be, and given the circumstances for going, you don't have a choice in the matter.
Really now? You have trouble with one of the most basic enemies in the game next to the average police officer? Snipers? No. Tasers? No. Medics? No. Shields? No. Bulldozers? Nah. Those shitty smokers? No. It's the average SWAT officer that's the real problem for dual divers here.
You know, this whole entire list is Duel's own opinion. She's talking about the experience that she herself had with the game. Maybe basic and easier one may not be the same for others. After all, what's easy and what's hard is all subjective.
You might have a point if Dragon said something like, but I like this game, but that's clearly not what happened. Dragon isn't arguing subjectivity with subjectivity. He's arguing with Doodletones' reasons behind said opinion.
Yes, but no, not really. All Dragon was doing was poking fun at the fact that Duel had issues with the main enemy of the game. That's not arguing the reasons behind Duel's opinion, that's I think condescending because someone who isn't him has a problem with something that he personally doesn't have a problem with. He is essentially debating his subjective onion with Duel's subjective onion. Actually, let me elaborate on Jonah's original point because I actually have another point against Dragon. Like, yeah, they're main enemies. Your point? You just saying,
Really?
doesn't debunk anything in the grand scheme of things. It wouldn't change how Duel had an issue with it, so its interjection just fuck all to Duel's point. Though all of this is ignoring how Duel never even complained about the type of enemy she was facing. She was focused on the amount of enemies she was facing.
Also, I'm sorry to say, but saying that it's her opinion doesn't debunk Dragon's point.
Inherently, no. But considering the fact that all Dragon was doing was saying, oh, you have a problem with this thingy shit, and acting as if that debunks Duel's point, and even ignoring how that wasn't even her argument, bringing up how Duel's video is subjective would debunk Dragon's point considering the fact that Dragon is treating it as if it were an objective problem. So overall, Joe's point still stands.
Meanwhile, I'd like to touch on something else. Doodle divers. Hey, look, everybody! Look at the 7th Blade Dragon! Is he cool yet? Well, yeah, I mean, dragons are cold-blooded. They're naturally cool. Wait, getting off topic. As I was saying, you're a freaking moron. It's not cool, it's not clever, it's been done to death. You're just bringing up drama to remain dead at this point, and it paints you as one of those people on the anti-doodle hate bandwagon who can't listen to rhyme or reason. Right alongside the likes of people like Obscurian.
Look, I'm not a fan of the name Doodle Divers either. In fact, I think it's a stupid name. But there is something that I have to point out. Insults don't invalidate points. For example, if I were to say that Cult of Dusty is an asshole who forces his atheism views down people's throats, that would be correct. Because that's exactly what he fucking does.
So, your example to insults not invalidating points is you calling Cult of Dusty an asshole who shoves his views down people's throats, and then proceeding to say that your point is correct.
What is this madness?
Also, when did Jonah ever say that Dragon's insults invalidated his points? All he's saying is that the Duel Divers insult was done to death. He wasn't saying Dragon's arguments were invalid just because it said insults.
With all that is said and done now, I can put any loud mission on this list, as they all tend to have the same kind of premise to them.
Oh, so you're gonna call a very important part of the game bullshit just because...
Oh, I can't handle all these SWAT officers are so easy to take down, just like those mean-spirited cyberbullies who criticize me in the comments of my videos.
Now cry for mom to change her diapers.
Yay, back to hitting 7th points again. Seriously, Blaze isn't the only one in this chain that gave me a ton of material to work with. Okay, 7th, just because the loud missions are an important part of the game, that doesn't mean the duel can't still think that it's bullshit. If it's difficult, it's difficult. So the mission being pivotal overall means jack to the overall argument.
Refer to my last interjection about difficulty. Also, 7th, seriously, just shut up. You aren't funny. Not to mention that audio was screwed up so badly you can barely understand what that thing was saying. Just please don't talk anymore. Please don't talk anymore. Please don't.
So all this interjection pretty much boils down to shut up.
You know, other than referring back to his previous point about difficulty and pointing out the audio about whatever.
I'm sorry, but telling someone to shut up is one of the worst things that you can do in a commentary. Because it really shows that you have no arguments. At the top of that, it's extremely fucking immature.
You know, you would have had a point here if Jonah didn't immediately argue Dragon's point right after cutting back to him. Like, this would only work if Jonah didn't argue Dragon's point at all, but considering the fact that he'll later go on to argue the point right after you cutting back to him, it shows yes, he does have an argument. Him saying shut up to Dragon could have been placed to show anger towards his target.
It'd be like if I said that all of Cuphead's bosses were bullshit. Not because of the game's fault, but rather that I can't handle all these projectiles on the screen I have to deal with. All because I can't adapt to the game. You might say it's a stretch for the comparison here, but let me remind you that Payday 2 has many different weapons, armor, items, and of course, builds, in order to take all that shit that the police are throwing at you and dish it all back like the average Black Lives Matter member.
You know, the first time I saw this, I thought this was a fine point. Then I remembered something. Just because there's a way to get around it doesn't mean Doodle has to like it.
When the hell did he even say that he has to like it?
Blaze, you missed the fucking point. His point was that just because there are ways around it doesn't mean Duel isn't allowed to dislike it. Just because Dragon never said Duel had to like it doesn't negate Duel's taste for it, which is what Jonah was arguing.
But with just the sheer amount of guards, I think I'm gonna have to put Hoxton Breakout here. Don't get me wrong. Boy, is it worth it in the end. But I'm not good at having a billion things firing at me at once, so turning an FPS game into bullet hell is practically spelling disaster for me.
Doodle said, and I quote, a billion things firing at me, which can translate to a bullet hell. Also, maybe since I've never played Payday, so feel free to correct me.
So wait a minute, you haven't played Payday, yet you made this commentary anyway? I'm sorry, but you're pretty much required to play the game in order to be able to properly defend Doodle Tones. Why should you take anything you say at face value after knowing that you've never played the game?
Blaze, what the fuck?
Do I have to yell again?
No, you really don't.
Okay, Blaze, there is actually so much wrong here that it's actually not funny. First off, no, you are not required to play a game in order to know something about a game. That's fucking dumb. You can still do the proper research to debunk someone talking about said thing. Lack of experience with the game doesn't mean Jones' points are null and void. Second, this isn't ad hominem, since you're discrediting an argument based around something around the person rather than an actual argument. If Jones' points were based around faulty points or research, then fine. But then at that point, it would be because of Jonah being wrong, not because he hasn't played the game. Next time, don't do this shit again.
Combined with having to progress further alongside a truck, what amounts to a pseudo-escort mission, it just gets stressful. And that's not even mentioning day 2 where you need to protect Hoxton while he's packing, requiring you to be a sitting duck for half an hour. It's just stressful.
Oh my god. Is this really so troublesome and stressful for you? Man, you won't survive on the older FPS games of the 90s to the early 2000s.
7, nobody really cares. This isn't even really a pot shot this time. This is just something pointless.
That wasn't pointless at all. He was giving examples to help strengthen his point.
Blaze, no. He was referring to Dragon's entire interjection, not the examples the Dragon listed. Jonah's calling Dragon's interjection pointless, as it has nothing to the video. You're basing your argument after something Jonah wasn't even referring to. Kindly nod.
And Doodle, if you're watching this, you've got 2 options. 1, man up, suck it up, and get good. Or 2,
Go to the forums and cry like the little bitch you are!
Hey 7, how about you get good? By realizing that get good is never good critique. Like, at least you were trying before both explaining stuff. Granted, those were still flawed for the reason I stated in this video, but get good involves no advice and doesn't contribute to anything.
Actually saying get good can count as a good advice. I'm gonna use myself as an example. When I first got the game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I fucking sucked at it. While driving, I crashed into fucking everything. I just couldn't drive properly. Not to mention important parts of missions totally flew over my head. But with time, I got better at the game. And now, it's easy for me to drive around in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And I'm also doing better at the missions. So yeah, get good can be helpful advice. If you get better at the game, you will have more fun with it.
Yeah, how about no? Telling someone to get good at something doesn't explain on how someone can improve. It just says they need to get better, which by itself does absolutely nothing. Also, your example of you getting good at GTA is really fucking weak. Ignoring the fact that you're using anecdotal evidence, which 1, doesn't work, as not only would you be improving at the game being the exception, not the rule, but 2, this isn't an example of someone telling you to get good. It's an example of you improving at the game. These situations are completely different. So no, you're doing nothing to convince us that get good is a helpful critique.
And as said earlier, this whole entitle is subjective.
Again, he wasn't arguing subjectivity with subjectivity. He was arguing with the points behind said opinion.
Yeah, sure, let's go with that.
My advice? Lose the spite. It plagued your video on enter, and it plagues this one.
I have something to say. Just because a video is made out of spite doesn't mean that the points are automatically invalid. The perfect example of what I'm talking about is Warcorp 666. He fucking hates Anita Sarkeesian with a passion. But most of his points against Anita Sarkeesian are still very valid. I wish I could leave a link in the video description to one of his videos to prove my point, but I can't because his channel got terminated earlier this year, and all of the videos he made before then are now long gone.
But couldn't you make the argument that Jonah felt that spite got in the way of Dragon making good arguments? Like, yeah, spite does invalidate the points, but emotion can still get in the way of you actually putting your thoughts down. Also, your example of Warcorps doesn't even work because you don't prove that Warcorps make good arguments even with spite.
Oh, but his channel got deleted.
Then why the fuck are you using him as an example? If you can't prove something, then you probably shouldn't use it as an example, as you can't show that this is the case.
So, you can either accept my criticism, or apply back, and make my job so much easier.
Can you possibly sound any more fucking arrogant?
But Blaze, arrogance doesn't debunk points. Telling him he's acting arrogant shows you have no point. Yeah, if you want to make those arguments, I can throw them right back at you. Anyways, other than Blaze's final thoughts, the video ends. And once again for this video, I don't really feel like having any final thoughts, so this has been Sorry signing out.